This is a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast.
Welcome everybody to my podcast, Big Little Small Talk. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and I love to talk, but I also love to listen. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for tuning in to Big Little Small Talk. My name's Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and today we have Chris Meyer with us, who is a cowboy. Now, you don't meet many cowboys. Welcome, cowboy Chris.
Thanks, Megan. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Tell me, how is one a cowboy in 2026?
Oh, well, I started when I was 18 on the rodeo circuit, and then a few years later joined the pro circuit, mostly riding saddle broncs and did some calf roping.
What does saddle broncs mean?
Wild horses.
Ah.
Yep. So, rode bucking horses. So it's an 8-second event, and you have two judges that score you 25 points for how well you ride, 25 points for how bad the horse bucks, or how good it bucks.
Yes, that's right. So you want them to buck a lot though, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of you draw for them. So
I see.
Sort of trying to get the best one you can, and then try and ride it.
So it's just luck though, the one that you end up on?
Yes. Yeah, it was a computer draw, random draw.
I want to talk a lot more about your career as a cowboy, but you did grow up in this area, didn't you, on a dairy farm, and you had show ponies?
Actually down in Victoria. Yeah, we grew up down in Horsham in the Wimmera, between Melbourne and Adelaide. Yeah. And
what were Mum and Dad doing there?
Mum was a school teacher and Dad was a dairy farmer. Yeah, we had our show ponies. So life was pretty busy for us with getting cows in for milking every day and working horses and whatnot, yeah.
So who's us? Who's in the family?
Me and my sister. My little brother he's about 9 years younger than me, so he didn't really experience that very much.
So paint the picture for me, like how did your parents meet and why did they end up living on the dairy farm there?
Dad actually had a place at Garoke, a wheat and sheep place. His dad died when he was young, and so he was trying to run the farm and battling along, trying to shear sheep to pay bills and stuff. He met Mum at a dance and at Eden Hope. She was a school teacher there. And so they left. He did a few different jobs and then always wanted to get back on the land, and the opportunity came up to purchase a dairy farm. And so it was great to grow up in that kind of environment. Yeah. Was it?
Yeah. So hard work though, getting up at dawn and And
still can't sleep in.
Right. Yeah. You didn't resent that at all.
No, not at all. No, it was little country school. There was about 30 kids in the whole school.
Did your mum teach at that school as well?
No, she did some relieving there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you have show ponies, what does that mean?
Well, we go around all the local shows and present them. Yeah, we had some good horses, and when I was 11, our mum and dad went as missionaries to India. Well, they just sold the property, and horses went all over Australia. Yeah, they're pretty well known. So.
You just dropped a big bomb in there. Yep. When I was 11, Mum and Dad went to
India. To Nepal, actually.
Right.
I went to boarding school in India for 4 years, from when I was 11 to when I was 15.
And just kind of back the horse up a bit there. Like, how did they decide to go and become missionaries? Yeah,
it was a funny situation. I guess horses were probably our God up until then. Everything was revolved around horses. We did pony club, and Dad was the chairman of it and everything else. And when I was 10, we went, we're supposed to go on holidays. It's a big deal to go on holidays with a dairy and everything, so they kind of booked it up for months in advance, and then all the plans fell through, and they ended up, my grandparents were going to a Christian conference, and they said, look, I can get you a spare caravan if you want to come up, and Dad said, we'll go up there, we won't do any of the Christian stuff.
So where was that?
That was at Belgrave Heights, at their Easter convention. So he said, we'll just go on Puff and Billy and do all the touristy things. And the first morning, a guy came around, knocked on the caravan door, and I said to Dad, I've got this great speaker, and ended up talking Dad into going, and we went off to the kids club thing. It was huge, like there was thousands of people there. And God really got a hold of them, changed their life. And when they got home, there were some pamphlets and stuff that us kids, I guess, used to pick up off people at the door, and one of them just said, how do you know a door won't open unless you knock? And it was from a mission organisation So they wrote to them, and the guy wrote back and said, this could be a coincidence. I don't think so. He said, but had all Dad's qualifications, and then the same day they got a letter from Nepal asking for a farmer to go out there to run the farm at a leprosy hospital. So Dad went out there, and so within 12 months, farmers sold, and we were on the mission field.
Wow, that is just such an incredible journey, isn't it? Had your parents been brought up in religious households themselves?
My mum had, yeah. Dad went to a Billy Graham crusade just after he met Mum, but it kind of gone by the by, and life got full of other things,
Oh, that is just so wild. So they just sort of really felt that they needed to go and do this thing in Nepal, did they?
Yeah, I guess that was like a real calling. They felt it was a calling from God. So they, I guess, answered the call. And we went as a family. I guess we all really knew that God wanted us there. I had to go to boarding school, so it was 3 days travel from Mum and Dad. Had no phones, took a month to get a letter. It was really isolated. This is in India back in the 70s, so I don't know how I would have gone if I hadn't. I know a lot of my friends felt like they just got dumped there, but for me it was a bit different. I felt like God had called us as a family, and this was my place to be, as hard as it was.
Kids kind of, you and your sister, because your little brother wouldn't have been.
No, he was only 2.
You and your sister took on the religious aspect fairly
young,
and just accepted it.
Yeah.
And when they said that they wanted to go and live in Nepal, like, were you just frightened? Or?
It was actually pretty exciting. The horses were such a big part of our life. To be honest, I didn't really miss them. Like, God kind of dealt with that, and then when we come back, He gave it all back with my horses and stuff like that. Yeah, so
I want to just talk about being a little boy of 11 and going to boarding school. Tell me about that. What's your kind of strongest memory when you think about that time?
Oh, look, the first day was pretty terrifying, saying goodbye to Mum and Dad and then leaving, and there was just no way of really contacting them and feeling really alone.
Was it an international school?
It was,
Why did you go to school in India if they were in Nepal?
Well, there was just no schools. There was a mission school that went up to grade 6. So I actually went there for the first 6 months, and then they didn't have any provision for high school or anything like that. So actually I think I went to grade 5, but they made a sort of a special allowance. So
the big tall boy.
Yeah, I was actually little, but
and it was a boys' boarding school.
No, it was both genders.
Co-ed,
yeah, co-ed, yep.
And how many kids would have been there? Do you reckon?
Probably 800-900, I guess. So yeah,
right.
They come from all around the world, so it was. Yeah, look, I look back with really fond memories. Boarding school was great once I got the hang of it all and got over the homesickness stuff.
Would you go home once a semester or once?
Yeah,
how
June, July I got a month, and then probably 2.5 months in December through to January.
Yeah. And was it a religious school or?
Yeah, yes, to some extent. Yeah, it wasn't with any certain denomination or anything like that, but a lot of the teachers were Christians, and certainly had like youth group and different things on in church every Sunday.
What about the sort of the love for the horses? You just automatically stepped away from that, or did they have any animals there at the boarding school?
No.
What did you do on the weekend?
Well, I was into sport in a big way, so left playing Aussie rules to go over and play soccer and basketball and that. Whatever was going, I was into kind of as long as it was sport. Yeah, it wasn't all that academic.
Tell me about some of the friends that you made, and are you friends with any of those people still?
No, we came back with the idea of going back. I came back for a year on furlough and then going back. But Dad's, he was sponsored by a German company, and then they decided they were just going to concentrate more on the medical side of things. So there wasn't any opportunities for us to go back. So then they moved up to Queensland to work at a campsite. Dad was running a horse program there, so we got kind of right back into the whole horse deal, and it had quite a Western theme. So
what sort of horse program was it?
So taking trail rides and all that kind of
Whereabouts was that?
That was at Minden.
Yeah.
A place called Sunshine Ranch.
What age are you by then?
No, I was
13, 16?
Yeah, about 15. So I dropped out of year 11. I wasn't very academic. I battled with school a bit. My first 2 years of school, I had mumps, measles, chickenpox and 2 eye operations. So
Really?
I missed out on a lot of school and always struggled with my reading. Probably wasn't until I left that I really started to appreciate learning and reading, and ended up going to Bible college and getting a degree in theology. Yeah.
Wow.
That was after.
We can park that just for a minute. Yeah.
We left school. Dad said I couldn't leave school till after year 10. So he said, well, if you finish year 11, you can leave. So I did. I really put my head down, and he said, you can't leave now. You've got really good grades. But he promised. So he said, if you find a job, you can leave. So I actually got a job working for a guy making rodeo equipment. He was a pro cowboy and kind of got me started in the rodeo scene, that was kind of my stepping stone in.
Yeah, so it was from working for this guy that you went then. And how do you become a cowboy?
Yeah, I guess it's quite difficult unless you're born into it. It's really hard to to get in. There's schools and things like that you can go to, weekends, but it is quite difficult. You've got to know somebody.
Take me through it. So what did you do? Like,
you'd
never ridden a
well, my dad broke in
then?
horses and I rode, worked with lots of horses while I was at school. When we came home and broke in some horses and things. It was quite an easy stepping stone for me. It's a different type of saddle. It's one designed for bronc riding and just learning how to use it properly and how to stay on and spur. So when you're spurring, it's about holding on with your feet, because something's got to give. There's all that power there, so you spur from the front to the back with your feet, and it kind of takes all that power out. A bit like dancing when you. Yeah.
You haven't seen me dance.
Me, I can't dance. I can ride broncs pretty good.
You're on Big Little Small Talk, and my name's Megan O'Hara-Sullivan. We're talking to Chris Meyer, who is a cowboy. He's telling me about how he became a cowboy. Just as a quick aside there, Chris, I see that they don't talk about breaking horses anymore, do they? What's your thoughts on that?
I guess it's training horses, starting horses off. I did have my own business. I worked for some big companies when I left school and breaking in mostly race horses. Yeah, so I guess it came from years ago. They talk about breaking their spirit, but I guess we don't want to be doing that anymore. And I was fortunate enough to work with some really good hands and horsemen and learnt some really good skills and learnt, I guess, to maybe listen to the horse and see where they're at and then how I can connect with them and bring them around to my way of thinking a little bit.
How did then you become like on the rodeo circuit sort of thing? Yeah.
So I rode an amateur circuit for a couple of years and then moved down to Victoria. My folks had moved back down to Victoria, and I moved down there working on a campsite and running a horse program, and that was kind of my passion. Started entering on the pro circuit and travelled with some pro guys and didn't do very well. Had a lot of fun.
Are you just trying to win enough money to survive, are you?
It was a bit later on that we went full time. I had a wife and a couple of kids, and we'd felt God was calling us full time on the rodeo circuit as a chaplain. So we just kind of trusted in God to see us through, and some people, churches and stuff, would give us gifts along the way, and we'd win a bit and somehow survived.
Well, you're skipping ahead a little bit there, but I do definitely want to talk to you about being the chaplain on the rodeo circuit, which was, fairly unusual sort of marrying of careers, I guess. But tell me about when you were competing in the USA. Like, what stage of your career was that? Did you have a wife and a couple of kids by then as well?
No. We just got married. And so we decided we'd love to go over and see how things were over there. It's always been a passion. So we saved up and went over in '93. Won a few big rodeos and had a lot of fun. Probably just went over for a bit of a look-see. Never got back. Would have loved to have going back, but yeah, I guess you get busy doing things and
having a family.
Yeah,
Trying
that's
to earn some
right.
money.
Yeah, that's right.
Not breaking your bones, every bone in your body.
Well, most of them.
Tell me about your wife, Georgie. How did you meet her?
I was working at a place breaking in horses at Rodeo. I'd had a strong relationship with a girl prior, and that didn't end so well, and probably got pretty hurt through that. Probably just put all my energy into rodeoing and working. Said to me, Chris, you probably should get around to some churches and meet some nice young girls. And I said, Mum, it doesn't matter where I go to the ends of the earth, God will have the right one for me at the right time. And it wasn't long after that I got a job at Rodeo breaking in horses for a big company, and come one Sunday morning and had fed up all the horses and everything. Sunday afternoon, sorry. And I thought, I might be able to make it to church, and I didn't know there's a few different churches there, but I'd driven past the Baptist church, so I might just try there. So I went in there. I was late getting there. I thought I'd go 6:30, but it ended up starting at 6. So I snuck in the back, and there was this most beautiful woman playing the piano. Got to meet her afterwards. We started a relationship, and I knew she was the one. Got down on my knees a couple of weeks after and asked her to marry me, and she said, when you get serious.
Oh. And that was 34 years ago, was it? If I got that right?
Yeah, well, we've been married 34 years, since 92.
You talked about sort of you and Georgie going over to the States and things. How did, I don't know what the cowboy lifestyle's like, but I would imagine it might be a bit of hard drinking, hard swearing, hard partying. And how did that go with your Christian values?
Yeah, I guess when I was single, it was probably, well, I guess it's always a challenge getting sucked into that culture and things. And I guess we just made a stand in how we were going to live our life. And
was it easier once you were married for you to sort of not concede to the bullying, I suppose, or just you didn't feel like you had to be a part of it? Yeah, the peer pressure. That's
yeah. I remember one time I travelled down to Victoria to start the season off on the pro circuit. You can do a whole bunch of rodeos in a month, so I took some holidays and went down to get the season started. Nothing was kind of going right for me. I couldn't draw, wasn't drawing very good horses. And I guess I was paying my way, but yeah, I really wanted to, I guess, make a name for myself, and hanging out with all those Australian champions and stuff. And one night they got me drinking and got drunk, and it kind of just started a whole chain reaction of stuff, and we're drinking every night and carrying like a pork chop. And I remember sitting at the rodeo grounds at Warrnambool after the rodeo and just looking out over the sea and thinking, what am I doing? Where's my life going with all of this stuff? And I'm making some really bad choices here. And I got home and I had a dream one night that my son Josh, he was only probably about 8 months old, just starting to crawl. And I had this dream that he crawled off a balcony and was killed. And just the horror of that moment jolted me awake, gasping for air to fill the emptiness. And as I woke up, I heard him crying in the next room, and I bounced out of bed and grabbed him and held him. My son's alive. He's alive. Gave him a big cuddle and put him back to sleep. And I just got down on my knees and started praying with all this stuff going on. And I don't hear God's audible voice very often, but it was like deep within me. He said, Chris, I didn't just lose my son for you. I gave my son. And although I knew that, it just became really real, that God's love for me. And yeah, it was the point where I decided I was just really going to dedicate my life to serving him, and wherever that might be. So hoping it was going to be on the rodeo circuit. But so just after that, I had done a couple of years Bible college. A guy who had been a mentor for me over the years rang me and see if I wanted to. He'd started pastoring at a church and asked me if I would go and work with him as a assistant associate pastor. And so I gave all my stuff away, my saddle away, and then in all that process, he ended up leaving there to go back to Bible college, and we'd talk about me going finishing off my college and getting a degree. And he went to the college that I'd been going to years before. I went there and finished off and got to sit under his ministries and kind of set me up then to become a chaplain. So when I finished, we really felt, as Mum and Dad did, God's calling on our life, both me and Georgie, and to go back on the rodeo circuit and serve him there. We joined a Christian organisation called Athletes in Action, a sports ministry. And yeah, God just opened some doors for us. We had 2 little kids and just went down the road. We'd ring ahead to churches and stuff and say, look, we're coming through, the rodeo's going to be in town, if you can use us. So we'd speak at men's breakfasts and churches and all different denominations. I went to the International Bible College. And yeah, just God looked after us. Sometimes we didn't know. I remember leaving, we were going to leave home and had nothing. And I'd spoken to a church the week before, and this lady come around, and like 2 days before we were supposed to go, and she said, well, I'd got down on my knees that morning. I said, God, I don't know what to do. You've called us to this, and I've got no idea how we're going to even get out at the front gate because we had no money. We had rodeos booked and all these ministry things to do all around Australia. Going to Darwin and all over the place. And I said, Lord, I don't know how we're going to. And again, his presence just was really close to me, and an old hymn came to my mind. It says, great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And tears running down my face, I just felt his presence with me. It was all going to be okay. And I had to go away to do some stuff and come back that night, and this lady dropped around and given us enough money to get us started on the trip. Got to our first rodeo and I won that one, got us further up the track. The Lord just wonderfully looked after us. We come home with nothing and we went all over Australia, and I don't know how it could be done, but God looked after us. So that was kind of our life for quite a few years.
Yeah. So, Chris, you talk about being the chaplain for the Rodeo circuit. I was really interested. You talked about Athletes in Action, and I was reading about the history of chaplains in sport, and you were the first chaplain for the Rodeo circuit. How did the whole... I was reading about this Reverend Mark Tronson, was it? Who was the chaplain for the cricket team.
Yes.
I didn't even know there was such a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark invited myself and another friend of mine, Tim, and we went down to Adelaide to the big conference when it was just kind of getting going, and heard stories of other chaplains and things like that.
In different sports.
Yeah, different sports, no one in rodeo. Yeah, I guess I was pretty inspired by that. Probably a few years down, a bit further down the track, that after I finished my Bible college and everything, and just really felt that this was the right thing to do. So at a board meeting with the Australian Professional Rodeo Association, I went and put a case forward, and just the needs that are on the rodeo circuit. And even though I guess I was pastoring on the circuit and with some other guys and acting and doing the work of a chaplain, I guess it was to be recognised by the association. I guess it gives us a bit more authority to go into hospitals or jails or whatever. Got the backing of the association. I talked to them about it and said I had funding. We'd rated sponsors, so I had funding to do that. It wasn't going to cost the association anything, and it wasn't going to be an avenue to twist people's arms and become Christians or anything like that, but just to serve the community spiritually, the mental kind of struggles that people go through. They appointed me as a chaplain. Yeah, I've been doing that for about 25 years.
It's like your dream job, you know? It's the cowboy and God, doing the two things, combining the two.
Yeah. I guess
do you go to rodeos? Is that what you do?
We were full-time for a long time. These days, because I'm working at Mount Binger at a youth camp, we just don't get the opportunity to travel like we did. Still keep my finger on the pulse, still have my name down, so if anyone needs to contact me, they can. But yeah, I'm restricted a little bit about how much I can get around. But still quite involved team roping.
Are you still competing? Yeah.
Went to the national finals last year and won back-to-back titles.
Yeah.
So
what about being 2 points off the Australian champion? When was that?
That was in '99. think. Yeah.
Oh, he's got his belt off, folks. It's a great big silver buckle. Oh, that's the Century Team roping healer.
Yep.
Healer.
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll have to take a photo of that and you can see it on the Facebook page. So I was surprised to learn that you do things like funerals and you marry people and you do baptism. Tell me about some of that stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's just a way of serving the community because I understand the community, grown up in it. Yeah, can I guess speak the language, walk the walk, and know a lot of the guys. So yeah, I just felt there's some way I could offer to do funerals of the community. I guess it's cost me in some ways because you know the person really well, but and we've done lots of weddings, and that's been a way of serving the community.
So this is not necessarily on the circuit, but these are people that you have met from the circuit, and then they might ask you to do their wedding or something. They're not like mid sort of bronc ride, getting married or anything like that.
I don't have my license anymore. I gave that a few years ago, but yeah, probably I don't know. Did about 45 weddings. Yeah.
Wow. What changed over the time for you in that, well, are you still doing it? What do you notice is the biggest change in the Rodeo community? Anything much?
I think it got a lot more professional. Yeah, a lot of guys were going over to the States and then coming back with probably a lot more professional attitude and the way they went about things. And yeah, so it's kind of lifted quite a bit.
And is that a good thing?
It is a good thing.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
The introduction of being able to earn a proper living there instead of sort of scrabbling part-time.
Yeah, but just the attitudes and the way they went about things. And I guess there's always an element. It's they call it an 8-second lifestyle. You're only on those bucking horses and bulls for 8 seconds. And so a lot of guys kind of live their life like it might all end tomorrow.
Right,
so
interesting.
You try and get as much drugs and alcohol and sleep with as many women and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it has some consequences, that kind of lifestyle. And I guess that's where the chaplaincy sort of stuff came in, just picking up some pieces, seeing guys in hospital or jails or... Yeah, a lot of times it's just kind of sitting on a horse waiting to compete, and how's things going, mate? Yeah, not so good, the wife's left me, and sit down and have a chat and work things through. Or someone might say that someone's kind of withdrawn and not doing so well, and just touch base and see how things are going. Yeah.
And read a quote of yours where you said you wanted to be Jesus to this community.
Yeah.
That's not ambition.
No, that's right. Pretty sold out and infatuated with Jesus, just stuck in the Gospels and reading just the compassion that he had on people and his willingness to stand up for what was right and to stand up for those who were abused, and the way he did that, touching the leper, making space for those who were alienated and ostracised. And
you wanted to be Jesus to the community.
Yeah, Jesus to the
Tell
community.
me, like, if that isn't a grand statement in itself, you've also told me that you are actually in the Bible. Tell me how that works.
Well, the Bible Society brought a Bible out in 2000 called The Prize. It's a New Testament, and they put stories of Christian athletes in it.
Oh, wow.
And they put my story in there. So I'm not quite up there with Moses and all those others.
But you are indeed, and there's a picture of you one-handed riding a bucking bronc there.
That's it.
Wow. So, yes, it's
so
called
that was
prize.
that was given out to all of so they came out for the Olympic Games in Sydney in 2000. So they gave one offered it to every competitor at the Olympic Games. Yeah, so.
Was every competitor... I'm with you. They gave it to the competitors,
yes,
but they had... And who sort of composed the prize?
The Bible Society.
Yeah, right.
They put it together, asked me if I'd send some pictures and put my story in, and it was quite amazing. We were doing seminars in high schools around Australia, life skills and value seminars, and talking about bullying, peer group pressure, media and identity, all kinds. There's a whole range of things that the school could choose that they felt the kids were needing. And so we give out a React card, had a comment and a question about the seminar, and I'd talk a lot about the questions that the kids would ask about life and just bringing some life skills in. But I also had some boxes to tick if they wanted to talk to somebody, and I'd like a free Bible, and So we'd have hundreds and hundreds of kids tick this. I'd see this.
Oh, right.
So I'd ring up the local ministers fraternal and say, look, I've got about 400 kids here want a Bible. I can get these from the Bible Society. They give me a special deal for $5. And they went all over Australia, yeah, so that was pretty amazing.
So do you think, like, on the front of this is we've got some footy players, we've got some rowers, we've got some female soccer people. Is it, yes, and the female...
And I'm on the back.
Oh, you're on the back as well? There he is.
Quoted me.
Was it a sort of an attempt by the Bible Society to make it more sort of relatable for kids?
For sure. So I guess sport's such a big part of our Australian culture. So having a sports Bible is something that the kids would read the stories and then maybe start reading some of the scriptures as well. And
yeah, really, wow, that is something I did not know, a sports Bible. Now tell me, you just started to talk about it before, about working at Mount Binga. So
yes.
This sounds like another Chris Meyer dream job.
Yes, it is actually.
Kids, horses.
Yeah.
What do you do? Who goes to this camp?
Well, it's run by a Lutheran school, Emmanuel College at the Sunshine Coast. And it's been going about 30 years. A guy called Meyer, he started it with some others. I guess seeing a need for kids outside of education to stand on their own 2 feet and things. So this camp, the kids come for a month, and the Lutheran schools put it in there as part of their curriculum. So we're fully booked. We have about 6 schools that come. Yeah, the kids come for a month. No phones, no mum.
What sort of age are they generally?
Mostly 14, 15-year-olds, so year 9 and year 10.
Oh, wow.
So just, they come with a whole lot of attitude.
Yeah.
But it's just really cool working with them. So we've got a dairy.
The horse program, or other things as well?
Yeah, other things as well.
Yeah.
Run the farm side of stuff.
How did you end up with a job like that? Like, it really is, apart from being on the Rodeo circuit, your dream job, isn't it?
I get to share my faith, and it's coming under a Lutheran school. We have church and we have reflection times. So I can draw from the seminars that we used to do and things like that. I've got a young horse that I compete on that I ride blindfolded with no bridle on and share some faith stuff about trust and things with him. Yeah, so using horses as a way of teaching values and things. Yeah.
Well, I did read that equine therapy for the kids to reduce stress and anxiety and things. So what type of contact do they have with the horses, or is it about the sort of responsibility, or how does it work?
In the 4 weeks that they're there, they have 4 rides, because there's about 60 kids that come. So they do an induction, learn how to lead and ride the horse, learn a bit about horse behaviour and how to behave around them. And they learn to saddle the horse, and they have 2 trail rides. In that process, they sometimes ride different horses. Some kids ride the same horse the whole time. But learning how to handle different personalities. Some horses are really timid, some got a bit of an attitude. So we kind of teach them some principles about being as firm as they have to be, soft as they possibly can be. So asking softly, but if they won't go, then we have to ask a bit firmer. And I guess then relating that to how, because horses are quite social animals, how we might relate that to in the bunkhouses when there's 12 of them in there and they've got to cook for each other and clean and do all those kind of things. Sometimes they kind of tread on each other's personal space and get in each other's face. If they're over the top, then they're going to upset somebody. If they're, sometimes you got to stand up for your own space, and I guess learning some of those sort of things. Yeah. Yeah,
interesting. And your 4 kids, have they shared their parents' strong faith?
Yeah, my son and his wife, they've got 4 kids. They're quite involved in their church on the Sunshine Coast. I've got a daughter and her husband, they got 2 boys. They're missionaries in Albania.
Oh, wow.
They've been there for 7 years. They're home on furlough at the moment. They're going back shortly.
I love the on furlough. You said that earlier.
I've got a daughter who has done a lot of study with Youth of the Mission and serving the Lord in her church and community. And another daughter just had a little girl. She's married. And they're heavily involved in their church up at Bundaberg.
Have any of them sort of ever rebelled against the such a strong religious background?
We tried to make or have our kids as much of a part of what we're doing. So we had people staying in our homes that were alcoholics and girls that have been raped and working through things, and people with all sorts of mental disorders, and helping them get back on their feet. And so they've seen the good, bad and the ugly of humanity, and seeing the reality of Jesus in people's life and the change that he brings. I guess they've all had to work through their own faith and what they believe, and maybe gone their own little way every now and again. But yes, I'm really praise God that they've come through the other end.
What about in terms of the cowboy lifestyle? Have they embraced that?
I guess they all had a bit of a dabble in it. My son rode a few junior bulls and things, but he was really into gymnastics and wanted to pursue that. A couple of girls did some barrel racing and things. Yeah, they just kind of got into other things as they got older.
You said that you were competing last weekend or whatever, so are you sore?
I don't ride bucking horses anymore.
Right.
No, I'm just roping now. So in the team roping event, one guy is a team, so two guys. One guy catches the steer by the horns and I catch their feet. I'm a healer. So it's just good fun.
Don't hurt yourself anymore?
Well, no.
Try not to.
Try not to. I did lose half my thumb. A lot of healers lose their thumbs because as you catch the feet, your horse is stopping and the steer's still going 100 mile an hour that way. You let the rope slide through your hand as you take a wrap around your saddle horn. So if things go bad, sometimes you get a finger or a thumb caught in there. So a lot of heelers will lose their thumbs and headers. Yeah, I lost mine quite a few years ago. Yeah, I knew I'd lost it. Pulled my glove off. I was too scared to look down, but when I did, it was kind of just half cauterized, and you're trying to be really cool.
I don't.
I rode back to the chutes, and one guy saw it happen. He said, "You just lost your thumb, didn't you?" I said, "Yep." And he took control, thank goodness, and he said, "Right." He pointed at one guy. He said, "You take his horses and go on and saddle him." And pointed at another guy. "You go and get his thumb. It'll be still in his glove out." And he pointed to me and said, "You go to the ambulance." So I went there and I put my thumb on ice, and I end up at the hospital. And the doctor looked at it and said, "Well, we could sew it back on, but if it gets infected, you could lose your whole thumb or worse." So it kind of felt funny throwing part of my body in the bin. But they took a skin graft from under my arm and sewed it on, and my nail grew back. It's still a bit deformed, but it's still there.
It's almost like you thought it was going to happen and it did.
Losing my thumb?
Yeah.
No, not really. No, I had never thought about losing my thumb before that. Just because they took the skin graft from my arm, little hairs grow at the end of my thumb. So not to have to spray on my arm, I'm going to spray my thumb as well. No, but I never thought about losing limbs doing that. It was afterwards that I realised how easy you could lose your thumb, and that really affected me. One of your little questions that you put in here was, do you have any fears? During my dallying, I could catch my feet, no worries, but dallying then for a number of years was a real battle for me.
What is it? Dallying?
Dallying, yeah. So you've got to stop the steer, so you catch their feet, and then you've got a saddle horn on the front of your saddle, and you wrap the rope around your saddle horn, and it'll hold everything, it'll shut the whole thing down. So as soon as it stopped, then this time will stop. So if you miss your dallies, if you don't get your steer stopped, and then they won't stop the clock.
I see.
Yeah, that really affected me for a long time, and I was kind of praying, how do I get through this? And I was reading in a verse in the Bible that says, "Perfect love drives out all fear." And I guess it was talking about our sin and things like that, but I kind of put it to the test a little bit and said, you know what? Instead of being worried about this and thinking about it, I'm actually going to love to dally. And it's the best part of my run because it's where everything stops and I get timed. And I just really worked on it and changed my thinking. And that year won the finals, 2 points off being the champion at that was a National Rodeo Association. Yeah, just 2 seconds off winning that one. So, but
it's all the mindset, you reckon?
Yeah.
So tell me, this is a frivolous question, but the fashion. Did you get into the fashion of the? Yeah, I can see you got a big. It's probably not a 10-gallon hat at all. It's something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I feel comfortable being a cowboy and dressing like one. Yeah, it's just who I am.
Do you get into the Royals at all? They're horsey people, aren't they?
Yeah, they are horsey people. We went over to England last year, my wife. We went to see our kids in Albania and went over to England. My mum was born there, so and we went to sit to the Guardian where the horses are, and that was really interesting.
You got a favourite?
Probably Queen Elizabeth. She was just an old stalwart that just, she's really courageous, and I kind of admired her.
Do you admire her riding and, the sort of that
her passion for horses? Yeah, for sure.
What about the corgis? Do you get over the corgis?
Never gone to corgis.
No, not so much the corgis. And of course, the cowboy lifestyle is so synonymous with the music, cowboy music, country music.
Yep.
Are you into that?
Yeah, I am. I play guitar. My wife plays the piano, and
you said that's where you met her. She was playing.
Yeah.
Church,
So we have a bunch of fun together and play music.
Do you have a song that can't keep you off the dance floor?
I'm not a very good dancer. So
you just have a go anyway, though,
dancing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, when we were in the States, they kept saying, oh, come on, Ozzy, get and dance. So when we got back to Australia, we thought we should learn to do this. And just down the road from us at the Kerry Hall, they're teaching teenagers how to dance ready for their big end of school ball and stuff. So we thought we should go along and learn how to dance. Well, we walked in there, and one old fella grabbed Georgie and took her one way, and an old biddy grabbed me and went the other way, and which was pretty cool. But then when we come together, they both taught us different things. It never really worked for us.
Is there a song that can't keep you off the dance floor?
So no, I just like country. Well, Tom T. Hall says in one of his country songs, he said, "I love music when it's good." And I really don't. All kinds of genres, but
old wine and
that's him.
And
that's
watermelon
him.
wine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
a
pretty partial to country music, and I like it all.
Well, Chris, that has just been an incredible story, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming up in your life. It's just been a joy hearing, I suppose, your passion for both your faith and your horses, and being able to marry the two. And it's just been lovely hearing your story. Thank you for being my guest on Big Little Small Talk.
Thanks so much, Megan.
That's it for this week. Thanks for joining me on Big Little Small Talk. I hope you can make the time to join me next week. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favourite podcast app.
You've been listening to a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast. For more podcasts or to listen to live and local Toowoomba radio, please visit 1027.com.au or listen on iHeartRadio and Community Radio Plus apps.